Well, season 2 is over. Over the course of the season, we got a slightly deeper look at our favorite lesbian doll demon, Velvet. We saw her views, her beef, her powers, and overall delved into her character more than we did in season 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. I'm going to talk about her character throughout the 2 seasons and what I think is her backstory here, so hopefully we can get a better look at what happens when fashion meets media. Velvet comes into the spotlight the same scene that Valentino does. She calls Vox about Val crashing out and tearing apart her favorite models, and Vox has to come up to calm her down. He briefly chats with Velvet, who's being pissy herself about the outfits her employees are showing her, and then Vox proceeds to fuck off. Velvet returns in her "cut my life into pieces" outfit for the V meeting after Stayed gone, and saying that the trio needs to find someone who isn't tied to them to spy on the Has-Been Hotel. Vox says, "I think I have just the one," referring to Sir Penchant. Velvet honestly is the least aggressive of the V's in her introduction scene, and I like that about her. She's the one we know the least about, having the lowest amount of screen time in the episode, and no crash outs to make her seem reasonable. Then it gets to her head. In episode 3 of season 1, Scrambled Eggs, there is an Overlord meeting where Velvet crashes as a representative of the V's. She gets in Carmilla and Zeshel's face and throws the angel she decapitated on the table. Zeshel tries to calm the situation after she does this. Velvet roasts him, and we get Respectless. Overrated song, in my opinion. Oh yeah, boo me, okay.
You better show some respect!
Anyway, Velvet starts to believe that Carmilla killed the angel, which we learn in the same episode through another overrated meeting. Shut your mouth! That she did. Velvet leaves the Overlord meeting, and it promptly ends due to a pissy Carmine. Velvet then proceeds to dip for almost the rest of the season. We see her briefly exist during episode 8 when the V's are watching the extermination, and she says one singular line in the finale piece along with the rest of the V's. Velvet is pretty intelligent, let's be clear here. She was smart enough to notice Carmilla's Winter Soldier moment when she saw the angel's head, and despite
you did manage to fuck up the one Overlord meeting I let you do on my behalf,
she did unintentionally make Alex Sir curious enough to make Frank spy on Carmilla and Zeshiel during whatever it takes. So technically, because of Velvet, the entirety of the plot of Has-Been Hotel can continue. Think about that. I feel like there's hair in my mouth, but there isn't. Briefly, I'd like to cover Velvet's character abilities and design. In season 1, we see Velvet's fashionable abilities, being able to make outfits at will, and her literally changing her own outfit and hairstyle every single time she's on screen. She never wears the same thing twice. In season 2, this aspect of her character is lightly replaced. She still never wears the same thing more than once, but it's shown in a screenshot during Don't You Forget Reprise that she manually tailors some outfits. There is a running theory that this is Velvet's girlfriend, which I believe because she is, but she isn't shown doing anything fashionable. Keyword shown. However, we do see her witch powers, which could be a part of her fashion abilities. Witches, or those accused during the Salem witch trials and other witch panics in history, were commonly fashionistas in their area. Not to mention, she is literally a personification of a doll, which lightly parallels Alistair and his voodoo powers. Gets a phone notification immediately after this. Velvet is the social media overlord. She's always on her phone, her powers are related to the internet, and clearly cares about others' opinions on her, similar to Vox but less extreme. Vel is far more calculator focused in season 2 than 1, and she's ironically less egotistical as a result. Yes, she's still evil, but she has less open and pushed on others pride. I have a couple ideas as to why Velvet is like this, but we'll get to that later. I forgot I put that in the script. Velvet, sweetheart, you can't do that. Episode 1 begins with Has-Been Guarantee, and during the Trust Us section, we see that occasionally the V's will share employees. Val and Vel are closer to each other than Vox. In business! Given they have a separate duet from Vox. They work together to spruce up the new girl before promptly kicking her out when she... Is this Colleen Ballinger? Velvet attends the V meeting, makes a fire wing dress and once we get up there, and is absent from episode 2 because heaven. I don't care about cookie dough, I have things to do. In episode 3, Velvet goes to the Has-Been Hotel with Vox to interview Charlie. Okay, I lied.
What? Liar!
She wants to prove redemption is possible, and since...
but the last thing I want to do is spread misinformation.
She has to do it on camera. Velvet breaks her neck after speedrun to redemption, and when Angel crashes out, cuffs his mouth before being abandoned by Vox. They make Hazbin Hotel behind closed doors, and Velvet disguises her voice to act all innocent and victimly about her experience. Finally, in episode 4, she facially confirms to Charlie that she's lost, shuts Val up before he reveals Static Moth behind closed doors, and gets tossed around by both Alistair and Husk. After tanking 2 L's by them, Al pulls the clutch of the century. I already made that joke, who wrote that? And Velvet heads back to the V-Tower, and she's absent from Val and Vox's room for the end of the episode. I've seen people say that they all sleep in the same bed, and they don't. This is confirmation right here. Val has a separate room. Why? She gay. Episode 5 lacks almost anything Velvet. I'm serious, she only shows up twice during Vox Populi with Val to let out the dancers and sing the end part. In episode 6, she's forced to apologize to Carmilla for speaking
Out of turn.
and then interrupts Vox's seduction attempt and spins her out in a chair when Val gets interrupted from auditions. Can't relate. You were letting her paint your nails, Al, don't lie. Anyway, Velvet compliments Val on his "I'm from fucking Florida" snipe, and she dresses Angel up for the big rally in the next episode. In episode 7, she calls Vox again about the might of Lilith pissing on heaven, and then says Val is still pissy. Velvet gets her show of care for representation when Vox pushes her around as well. Velvet gets a duet with Valentino during When I Think About the Future. Also, I need this outfit, Velvet, oh my god. Which also shows her care for Valentino. In episode 8, she gets a text from a shark. How do you text? You're a shark, you don't have hands. About Baxter and Nifty, and then has a fight with Hornet from Hollow Knight Silksong before being blown up and kicked out of the tower.
Bye-bye.
Her doll parts reanimate. Vox loses his shit.
Damn, Bob.
And then, good job, Velvet. Perfect form flying sidekick, 10 out of 10. Anyway, Val does decapitation, and Velvet is still lesbian. Velvet helps out in Hear My Hope, and Hazbin Hotel Season 2 is over. Velvet is the V we know the least about. We don't see the treatment of her employees as much as we do Velvet and Valentino. We know nothing of her backstory. We barely even see her interact with the characters outside the V's, Alistair, Charlie, and Angel. She has the least lines amongst them by far, and I think this is intentional. I think Velvet's sheltered information about herself is a visual into what she was in life. My theory is, and I said the common consensus in the script, but this is not the common consensus after looking at Velvet theories, that she was a social media giant in her day, mainly focusing on vlogging her life, fashion trends, particularly the Witch variety, and selling dolls. She showed every part of her life, and when she died, tortured by a supervan who found her address and dismembered her alive, she became the Velvet we see in the series. Her doll features are a representation of how she was cut up, and she had social media and witchcraft powers based on her main occupation, and her fashionable taste was made by her favorite hobby. She is now incredibly insecure and hides her true self because of how she was found and killed, and is scared of what could happen if it happened again. She hides it behind her V mask, but is more open around Valentino because she trusts and cares about him and vice versa. Val was the one who brought her into the V's after she auditioned for one of his movies, and the trio as we know it today is formed. I don't know if this is canon, I have no proof, this is just my theory on Velvet's backstory, and I like it. Velvet, give me your official lore. Just like Val and Rosie, I require Velvet to get her own solo and backstory of some kind in Season 3 or 4. Lily Cooper deserves it after having such minimal Velvet lines in Seasons 1 and 2. Along with that, give me another Velvet fight. Just like Val, Velvet needs another chance to show herself in a proper fight that's similar to the Needle Maid who definitely isn't in love with the anglerfish. It just needs to happen. Maybe this time with a little less plot armor involved, though. Please. Velvet is my favorite V and one of my favorite characters. She's bratty, decently smart, and isn't an irredeemable asshole. Velvet isn't written like a villain, she's written like someone who could change whenever she wants but chooses not to. An anti-hero who fights with the villains. I think if Velvet wanted to join the hotel in future seasons, Charlie would let her, and the interactions her and the hotel members would have are insane. But that's just a theory. Damn you two, Dream. Anyway, thanks for being respectless with me, puppets. I'm gonna do that again. Thank you all so much for watching this video. It was a joy to make. Velvet is way better than Valentino to theorize about, and it was much less work to edit this. You lie! Because I didn't have as many clips to choose from. That being said, I will be making 2 more, or 3 depending on if I want to do Sarah. I will be making 2 more has-been video essays on 2 very lovable minor characters before working on Monochrome! I'm probably going to do that still, but I'm so excited to finally begin this. Animation will take a while, but oh, this will be fun. The Pentagonal Ministry is still in progress, and the Decade in Review will still happen. I have made the next 2 videos already. They are in progress, so I don't have to worry about them. But uploads overall will be slowing down. Bitch, they already slowed down. You know how long it took me to get this stupid video done? It took me a month! Have a great rest of your day, do the algorithm stuff, and stop breaking your neck!